Hey, ladies and gents, it's Zembak, and I'm bringing you the two most exciting things that happened on my vacation. It actually had nothing to do with my vacation. So, a little backstory here. I live in central Minnesota, and we went to the north shore of Lake Superior. Lake Superior is like essentially a inland sea. It's about 300 and some odd miles long, about 160 miles wide. It is massive. So, the first stop on our little trip, we stopped in the port city of Duluth, Minnesota. And Minnesota has, I should say, Duluth has a harbor that has a natural inlet, and then in part of the harbor has what you can see here in the background, a lift bridge. This lift bridge lifts up to let these ships through. And on our first day of vacation, we decided to go to the aquarium at Duluth, which is the largest freshwater aquarium in North America. And we were I was watching the kids. They were petting sturgeon, right? They have a big freshwater tank full of sturgeon, and they let them pet feel the fish and all that kind of shit. And I'm sitting there, and they had been blowing the honk and the horns all over the port. And this ship, which is called the American Spirit, which is 1,000 feet long. So somewhere in the 70s, they built about a dozen of these massive ships to haul taconite, which is a kind of it's an iron ore, but it's not, it's not pure iron. It's mostly, I think it's like 50% iron or something like that. So they haul these taconite pellets out of Duluth, the northern part of Minnesota. There's a place called the Iron Range, which mines iron. So they load these ships up, and they leave the port of Duluth, and they go across Lake Superior, and then usually down into Lake Michigan and whatnot. However, these ships are huge. Like I said, these are 1,004 feet long. This one specifically, this is the American Spirit. However, if you want to put kind of an idea, 1,004 feet long, most of the carriers that run around, aircraft carriers, are right around a little bit over 1,000 feet. This is, you think about like I said, the USS Missouri, which is like 860 some odd feet. So this is longer than a battleship. And they're massive, and this thing's loaded, I believe, at 70,000 tons, loaded with taconite. Now, to get out of the harbor, they can go out the natural entrance, or they have to go through this lift bridge. And there's buoys off to the backside of where the ship is that you have to go through to get out of the channel. So we're sitting there at the aquarium. Kids are playing with it. My wife's like, "Come on, check this shit out." So I just run outside, and here's the American Spirit had missed the buoys, and yeah, you can see where the lift bridge is at, and you can see where he's at. Well, there's a dock that runs along here with some. This is actually a brewery in the backside. Completely missed the buoy system because of apparently strong currents, and run the American Spirit, the 1,000-foot long, 70,000-ton ship into the dock, which we first thought he had did. However, they did drop the anchor chain as they were going toward the dock, and you'll see in the next part of the video here, I have two little clips of it. My shitty little telephone or camera phone cannot really pick it up here, but he had actually dropped his anchor chain. I kind of try to zoom in. You can see the anchor chain over here in the backside. He had dropped his anchor chain in an attempt to slow the ship down. So at this point, we're sitting here looking and going, "Oh, what the fuck," And we had thought he had completely run into the dock and had probably smoked some of the buildings down there. However, I did walk down there, and he actually was able to stop this massive ship about 25 feet short of the dock. Later to find out is that he had actually run it completely aground. This part of the channel is not very deep, so he got lucky enough to essentially just run it right into the dirt and stop it. However, we were supposed to take a harbor tour the next morning, which we already paid for tickets, and the boat that we were going to go on is right over here. So after this run into the almost run into the dock, the Coast Guard put a 500-yard
no-go zone around the ship. So they essentially completely shut down the lift bridge, and there was another ship about this size sitting out here in the Lake Superior waiting to get in, which he's unfortunately not able to. And we were worried that we were going to get fucked on our harbor tour because there was no way we could board the boat if this thing was sitting here. Thankfully, they were able to, with the help of a couple different tugs, finally be able to get this thing off of the from being grounded and pulled it back. And as we come down in the morning at 9 o'clock to get on our tour boats, this ship had just backed up enough and was heading out the lift gate when we showed up. So, thank goodness they got the ship off. There was no damage to the ship. There was no damage to the docks and that kind of stuff. So, yeah, it was a good day. We got our tour in of the harbor, and the kids were super ecstatic about that. My daughter's like, finally, we got off that stupid boat. That was her exact words. So, next day, we go up the shore, and we go to essentially it's a ski resort, but in the summertime it turns into kind of a fun land for kids. They have gondola rides and whatnot, and alpine course where they ride these sleds and stuff like that. So we come up, we're just on the other side of this building in the background on the gondola. You can see the gondola going over top here. We just come up over top of the building when this truck, coming off one of the side roads, completely flipped over. All over on his side, and there he was, stuck. You can see the gondolas going through. And, yeah, we're like, oh, shit. This is actually my oldest boy right here, Kai. He's sitting there. He's checking this shit out. He stayed with me the whole time because he thought that was super cool. So now, what it doesn't know, this is actually what I do for a living. This excavator right here, I have about 15,000 hours in an excavator. So I always kind of like to watch this kind of stuff. The truck driver was okay, of course, but it still sucks when you tip over a fully loaded dump truck in the middle of a highway. You know, shit happens. You get what it is. So you can see the gondolas going over here. And with the gondola rides were fun. We had an all-day pass for the kids. They got on the gondolas and they rode it for, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 times or whatever. You can hear me in the background talking about it. My son Kai had stayed with me, but the other 3 kids had decided to jump on the gondolas and keep riding instead of watching this cluster down below. So what you're doing here, he's trying to get the Class 5 out of the box, which is gravel, so he could somewhat, hopefully, be able to tip it over on its wheels. It was quite an ordeal. He was, it's the worst thing to see when you flip over a 60,000-pound machine truck like this and lay it on its side. However, they do have an excavator big enough, so it wasn't that big a deal, I guess. It took them once they got this thing flipped over, it took them about 2 hours to get it started. It wasn't easy, you know, when fluids flow different directions they're not supposed to and whatnot. So what he's doing here is, since he's on asphalt, he's using boards to track around the backside of the truck and hopefully to get it over here. About that time, I noticed there goes my 3 kids, my 3 other kids. I have 4 children, and they're headed up the gondola because they're like, we don't want to watch this. However, they're headed down the gondola, which is kind of a neat ride because once they drop down below this last steel, there's about a 150-foot drop, and then they have about I believe an 800-foot climb to the top of that rocky peak over there. So they had a lot of fun. They went up and down this thing a couple hundred times, it seemed like, and they rode the alpine course, I think 25 or 26 times. So it was well worth the money. They had a blast. So now they finally get the excavator around the other side of it. He's probably going like, what the fuck? I can imagine what the driver was thinking. He's like, shit, I just rolled my truck. And now we got to get it back over on its wheels. So around he goes. Like I said, this is by far the most interesting thing about my vacation. I'm going to be bringing up a video, doing the video here. If anybody's interested to hear a little bit of actual pictures and shit I actually did on the vacation, other than watch these 2 train wrecks. It's going to be mostly pictures of a lot of history. If you guys are interested in history, it's going to be a lot of like First Nation, Native American history. A lot of the places we stopped, the North Shore is kind of famous for that with the Grand Portage
the Northwest Company, the fur trade from, you know, the 18th century, that kind of thing. It's going to be kind of an interesting thing if you want to stick around and watch that next video that I'm going to make about that. It's going to be some pictures of my family, but a lot of the pictures are going to be of the actual history part of it. You know, starting out in Duluth, going up the North Shore. We went all the way up to Thunder Bay, Canada. We did some amethyst mining, the largest open pit amethyst mined in North America. Kids had a great time. They got to go mine amethyst, which is a semi-precious jewel. Had a blast. I think I come back with like 20 fucking pounds of rocks. Yeah, the border guard was like, what do you got back here? I'm like, it's 20 pounds of rocks. She's like, okay, I don't even want to know. So, back to the excitement here. This is like literally the biggest thing that happened on the second day we were here. And see if they're going to try to flip the truck over. So he gets around to the backside, and now he's like, all right, what are we going to do here? At this point, as shitty as that old truck was, I would have just smashed the shit out of it, pushed it off to the side, and took it to the dump. But, you know, that's just me. However, he's going to get his track flipped around here, and he's going to give her a tug and see if he can get this thing flipped back on its wheels. And, you know, and I've been doing it for years. Shit like this happens all the time. I've actually helped pull an excavator over that was tipped over, similar to this. But when you see an excavator flipped over on its side, it is a clusterfuck. It's like getting an excavator stuck. It usually requires like multiple tow trucks, multiple excavators, and if you have dozers around, that helps too, because it is it is ugly when you have to flip over an excavator. So, gets his tracks positioned. This is some expert shit right here. He's going to reach over, he's going to grab that truck, and he's going to pull her right back onto its wheels and get on. So I hope you guys, like I said, this is an unusual video just because this is the most exciting thing that happened on my fucking vacation. I mean, yeah, you know, I got to see a bunch of waterfalls, lots of water, and, you know, some old forts, that kind of thing. The history part of it was fascinating. My kids love that kind of stuff. But for actual excitement, this and the ship thing was by far the most exciting part of the vacation. So, like I said, he's almost in position. He's going to reach over there and see what he can do. Like I said, this is ugly for these trucks. Once they get flipped over, they just look like hell. He reaches over the box. I thought they were going to use some chains and probably try to save a little bit of the damage that they're going to do to this truck when they get it flipped over. But nope, fuck it, we're going to flip it over anyway. So it gets underneath it, and ooh, hood comes undone. Yeah, and he can't get it to stay because on the backside, of course, where he fell off. Yeah, not pretty, not pretty. So, hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'm going to like I said, I'll be bringing up another video that's a little bit more fascinating about what I actually did on the vacation, other than these two train wrecks. So stick around. Thanks for watching, guys.